The whiskey burned a hole in my stomach. I clutched the empty bottle, staggering down the street and ignoring the misty rain that clung to my clothes. Isabella's parting words were still ringing in my ears. Ethan, you're a great guy, but when I'm with you, I can't see the future I want. You're not like Derek. He can buy me the designer bags I want. He even said he'd get me a Porsche when we get married. My throat tightened. I threw my head back and laughed, a harsh sound that mixed with tears and splattered on the pavement. Suddenly, my foot slipped. I pitched forward, bracing for the impact of the concrete, but instead I collided with a warm, soft embrace. Sir, are you okay? A gentle female voice laced with genuine concern came from above. I looked up and met a pair of wide-range slicked eyes. The young woman was wearing a work uniform with Dream Brews printed on the front. She was juggling several delivery bags, and from one of them a milky tea was steadily leaking out. My bubble tea. She looked at the mess on the ground, her voice tinged with frustration. But a second later her gaze snapped back to me. Are you hurt? Does anything hurt? I stared at her bangs, plastered to her forehead with either rain or sweat, and was struck by the sheer absurdity of the moment. Here I was, the dumped loser, the useless drunk who just ruined someone's delivery. And this stranger was worried about me. I'm fine, I said, my voice rough as I tried to stand. My legs felt like they were filled with lead. She immediately steadied me, her grip surprisingly strong. You've had way too much to drink. Let me help you sit down for a minute. The warmth of her hand seeped through my shirt. I let her guide me to a bench under a nearby park gazebo. The girl knelt to clean up the spilled tea. I'm sorry. I'll pay for the drink. She looked up at me and smiled, her eyes curving into crescents. Don't worry about it as long as you're okay. But you should probably slow down on the drinking. It's not good for you. She pulled a pack of tissues from her pocket and handed it to me. Here, dry yourself off. Your shirt is soaked. The tissues had a faint scent of jasmine. My fingers trembled slightly as I took them. It had been so long since anyone had shown me this kind of simple kindness. Not since I'd moved to Chicago by myself. In that instant, that small pack of tissues had shattered every wall I had built around myself. You're out delivering on a rainy night like this? I asked just to fill the silence. She tied a knot in the dripping plastic bag, her voice cheerful. My coworker had an emergency, so I picked up a few of her shifts. It's actually kind of fun. You get to see so many different parts of the city. A real laugh escaped me. The first genuine one since Bella had left. You got a great attitude. Well, you can be happy for a day or you could be sad for a day, right? She sat down next to me carrying the sweet scent of tea and sugar. My name's Chloe, by the way. Chloe Davis. And you are Ethan Miller. Ethan Miller, she repeated, tilting her head. That's a really nice name. It sounds like someone from a book. My heart skipped a beat. No one had ever said that about my name before. To everyone else, it was just a name. Why were you drinking so much? She leaned a little closer. Is something wrong? It was as if I found the one person I could finally talk to. A bitter smile touched my lips. I got dumped. My girlfriend of 2 years left me for someone else. Oh. Her eyes instantly filled with sympathy. You must be heartbroken. But it's okay. It's her loss. You're going to find someone so much better. She said it with such certainty, as if it were an undeniable fact. We were complete strangers. Yet, this unconditional support, this clumsy but sincere comfort made my eyes burn. I turned away, looking out at the rain-slicked street. Thank you. Of course. Hey, where do you live? I can help you get home. It's not safe for you to be alone like this. I was about to refuse when a wave of dizziness hit me. I pressed my hand to my forehead with a weary smile. Okay, that would be a big help. On the way, she chatted about the bubble tea shop, about a new coffee bean they got that had a nutty flavor, and about a little kid who came in earlier who could name all the dinosaurs. Listening to her bright voice, I suddenly decided the rain wasn't so bad after all. When we reached my apartment building, she helped me to the main entrance. Can you get upstairs on your own? I nodded. She pulled a crumpled sticky note from her pocket and scribbled down a string of numbers. This is my number. If you're ever feeling down again or if you just want some bubble tea, you can call me. I clutched the note and watched her turn and run back into the rain, her small figure quickly disappearing into the downpour. The next evening, after a long day at work, I found myself opening Google Maps and searching for Dream Brews. I stared at the directions on the screen for a long time, my finger hovering over the display. Finally, I closed my phone, telling myself it was just on my way home. But as I stood in front of the shop, I had to admit the truth. I wanted to see her. A small bell on the glass door chimed as I entered. Chloe was behind the counter prepping a batch of boba pearls. She looked up at the sound and her face instantly lit up. "Ethan, a jasmine green tea, please." As I spoke, my eyes scanned a work schedule taped next to the register. Her name was next to a long list of night shifts. "You got it." She moved with practiced efficiency, then suddenly lowered her voice. "Actually, you should try the secret menu version." She turned and grabbed a small glass jar. "I'll make this caramel sauce myself. It's amazing in this." As she spoke, drizzling the caramel into the cup, I noticed a faded red string bracelet on her wrist. A tiny bell at the end of it chimed softly with her movements. Watching her concentrate on making the drink, I asked casually, "The bracelet?" She looked down and smiled, the tips of her ears turning pink. "The director of the group home I grew up in gave it to me. She said it would bring me good luck." Over the whir of the blender, I realized this girl was far more resilient than I had imagined. Bella, the woman I had dated, would pout to get new handbags and complain when I had to work late. She would never have spoken about hardship with such nonchalant grace. Ding. The door opened again and two girls in the same uniform walked in. "Well, look at Chloe, hitting on the customers again." One of them, a blonde, said with a sneer. Chloe's hand paused for a second, but the smile didn't leave her face. "Hey, Tiffany." "Hi, Jenna. Don't act all friendly." Tiffany snapped, throwing her purse on the counter. "The cost of the ingredients you spilled yesterday is coming out of your paycheck. So clumsy. And then you act like you're the victim. There's no need to be so hostile between coworkers." I shot to my feet, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. "How much was it?" "I'll pay for it." Tiffany stared at me, looking at me up and down. "Who are you? A client of your boss?" I pulled out my phone, pretending to scroll through my contacts. "In fact, I think I'll give him a call. I'm curious why work that should be done by 3 people is being dumped on 1 person. Were you 2 slacking just now? And what's with the schedule? Why is Chloe the only one working so many night shifts?" I didn't have her boss's number, but my tone was laced with enough authority. The color drained from Tiffany's face. She grabbed her friend and they scurried to the back to start working. Chloe stood frozen, her eyes red. "You didn't have to do that. Why don't you stand up for yourself?" I frowned. "Are they always like this with you?" She looked down, picking at a spot of syrup on her apron. "At the group home, the director always said not to start fights." And her voice got even quieter. "I'm slow. I can't think of things to say back to them." Her words felt like a punch to the gut. "Don't be afraid anymore." I heard myself say, "I'm here." Chloe's head snapped up, her eyes shining with a brilliant light. When I left the shop that day, I naturally asked for her number, which she gave me with a shy smile. Later, a text from her popped up on my phone. "Thank you for today." Staring at the screen for the first time since the breakup, I smiled. The next night, I was working late until 10 o'clock when my phone buzzed. It was a voice message from Chloe, the sound of traffic loud in the background. "Hey, I just got off work and was passing by your office building. I left a bubble tea for you at the front desk. Don't forget to drink it." I rushed downstairs. On the front desk sat a pink cup with a crooked smiley face drawn on it. A sticky note was attached. "Hang in there. Drink this and all your troubles will disappear." Holding the warm cup in my hands, a comforting heat spread through my chest and all the exhaustion from the day seemed to melt away. That weekend, I used the excuse of trying a new flavor to ask her out to dinner. She showed up in a simple white sundress, her hair tied back in a low ponytail. She was nervously twisting the hem of her dress. "I'm not very good at ordering." "Then I'll do it," I said, pushing the menu aside. "What are you in a mood for?" "Anything." She bit her lip, thinking for a moment. "Actually, I'd love some barbecue ribs." Then she quickly added, "But they're too expensive." "I'm fine with a salad." I smiled and ordered 2 full racks of ribs. "They're the house specialty. You'd regret not trying them." The way her eyes lit up when the food came was more satisfying than closing $1 million deal. On the way home, she suddenly stopped. "Ethan, why are you so good to me?" Her voice was quiet, but it hit me like a sledgehammer. The night wind swept a strand of hair across her face. Looking at her, The words I'd kept locked away inside suddenly found the courage to break free. When Bella left, I thought I'd never feel anything for anyone again. But this girl, who was always a little clumsy, had quietly filled all the empty spaces in my heart with a simple question and a warm cup of tea. "You know," I said, reaching out to brush the hair from her cheek, my fingertips grazing the warmth of her earlobe. "When I'm with you, even working late at night feels like there's something to look forward to." It wasn't until I saw that smiley face you drew that I realized. I swallowed hard, my throat suddenly dry, and took her cool hand in mine. "Happiness isn't some luxury item. You made me believe again that there's someone in this world who would be good to me for no other reason than just to be good to me." Her eyes widened, a shimmer of tears forming in them. The next second, she threw her arms around me and buried her face in my chest. "I like being with you, too." A nearby street light stretched our shadows long across the sidewalk. I gently wrapped my arms around her. Falling in love wasn't one big dramatic moment. It was the net of sincerity and tenderness that she had woven. And I was already caught. After that, we were like any other couple in love, sharing every little detail of our lives. Our apartments weren't far from each other, maybe a couple of miles apart. She would bring me homemade snacks when I worked late, and on nights I didn't, I would pick her up from the shop. But amidst the sweetness, subtle changes began to creep in. Little things here and there started to remind me that not everyone was cheering for us. One evening, my childhood friend Chris was in town with his wife. I invited them out to dinner, eager to introduce them to the new woman in my life. Walking into the restaurant holding Chloe's hand, I could feel her fingers were ice cold. With every floor the elevator ascended, she seemed to shrink closer to my side. "Don't be nervous," I whispered. "Just think of it as a casual dinner with me." She managed a weak smile, but squeezed my hand even tighter. The moment I pushed open the door to our private room, two pairs of eyes locked onto us. Chris's wife scanned Chloe's simple floral sundress from top to bottom. Chris's own gaze lingered for a second too long on her cheap plastic sandals. Chloe froze, and I felt the muscles in her arm tense up. "This is my girlfriend, Chloe," I said, my voice intentionally loud as I led her to an empty seat. As she moved the chair, its metal legs scraped horribly against the floor. I could have sworn I heard a snicker from the waiter outside the door. "Eat up," I said, placing a shrimp on her plate during the meal. I noticed her hand holding her fork was trembling. The accident happened when the waiter was serving a new dish. Chloe, trying to move out of the way, knocked over her water glass with her elbow. The water spilled across the white tablecloth and the glass shattered on the floor. Chris's wife frowned, shifting her chair away. Chris shot me a questioning look and I heard his wife mutter something under her breath. "I am so sorry." Chloe fumbled for a napkin and in her panic, her elbow sent her bread plate clattering to the floor as well. Staring at the mess, she looked completely lost. "I didn't mean to." "It's okay," I said, forcing a tight smile as I called the waiter over to clean up. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Chris and his wife exchange a look. They didn't say a word, but I could feel their silent ridicule. Chloe kept her head down for the rest of the meal, poking at her food. Whenever she did look up, her eyes were filled with a deep, painful apology. After they left, Chloe stopped walking. "Ethan, did I embarrass you?" I pulled her into my arms, resting my chin on the top of her head. "Don't be ridiculous. What do they know about what really matters?" I felt a slight tremble run through her and held her tighter. "In my eyes, you are more precious than all of them combined." She looked up, tears welling in her eyes. "But I mess everything up. I'm so clumsy." I gently wiped a tear from the corner of her eye. "Who says you have to be perfect? Don't worry about what other people think. All that matters is that we're happy together." A smile broke through her tears and she wrapped her arms around my waist. "Okay, I'll try my best not to hold you back." I didn't realize then just how much that resolve would be tested. As we spent more time together, I started noticing small but undeniable differences. When I tried to show her how to order movie tickets on her phone, she got the payment process wrong 3 times in a row. When I wanted to teach her some simple baking, she could never remember the steps to operate the oven. Even when we watched movies together, she often couldn't keep up with the plot, and I'd have to explain it to her repeatedly. At the office, my coworkers' casual questions started to pile up. "Your girlfriend seems a little slow, doesn't she? Does she have trouble keeping up with conversations?" The words were like tiny needles pricking at me when I least expected it. Bella somehow found out and sent me a mocking text. "Ethan, your taste has really taken a nosedive. Dating a simpleton now. I guess a loser like you can only end up with someone like her. Haha. I told myself over and over not to let it get to me. But in the quiet of the night, the conflict inside me grew stronger. I started to dread taking her to social events, dreading the strange looks and dreading the possibility that maybe, just maybe, everyone else was right and this was a mistake. A month went by. One night while working late, I saw a text from Chloe pop up. I bought some yogurt at the store. I'll bring it to you after work. It was accompanied by a picture of 2 yogurt cups with cartoon characters on them. My finger hovered over the screen. Finally, I typed out a reply. The pressure at work has been insane lately. Let's not talk for 3 days. I really need to focus. The moment I hit send, it felt like I had slammed a door on a part of my own heart. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Okay, make sure you take care of yourself, too. No questions, no complaints. Her understanding sent a wave of guilt crashing over me. The next 3 days were agonizingly long. Every time I opened my phone, our chat was still frozen on that last message. On the morning of the 4th day, a knock on the door woke me from a nightmare. I opened it to find Chloe standing there holding 2 large bags, her hair a mess from the wind. I glanced down. One bag was full of medicine. The other was full of fresh groceries. What's with all the medicine? I asked with a frown. She set the bags down in the entryway, breathing heavily. You said you were stressed from work. I asked the pharmacist and he said these could help with fatigue and protect your stomach. Seeing the look on my face, her voice trailed off. Did I get the wrong stuff? I just wanted to help you feel better. That's all. I'm not sick. I snapped, my frustration boiling over. I grabbed one of the boxes and said even if I was, I'd go to a doctor. You can't use insurance for this stuff. It's just a waste of money. She stared at me, her eyes slowly filling with tears. I just wanted to do something nice for you. After a moment of silence, she sniffled. Did I do something wrong? Her question hit me like a physical blow. I thought of Bella, who only ever complained about me working overtime, but never once asked if I was tired. And here was this girl, the one I was hurting, whose only thought was how to make my life easier. Silence filled the apartment. She turned and went into the kitchen, and soon the sound of cooking filled the air. I stood on the balcony, my eyes stinging. I didn't even realize I was crying until a tear slid down my cheek. The breakup speech I had been preparing in my head dissolved into the morning air, gone for good. When breakfast was on the table, the fried eggs were in the shape of hearts and the oatmeal was sprinkled with finely chopped green onions. Chloe kept her head down, stirring her spoon. If it doesn't taste good, it's delicious. I cut her off, taking a large bite. It was seasoned perfectly. Her head snapped up, her face filled with surprise. I put down my fork, walked around the table, and knelt in front of her. Taking her hand, which still smelled faintly of cooking oil, my voice trembled. Chloe, I am a complete and utter bastard. Seeing the confusion in her eyes, I took a deep breath, my nails digging into my palms. I almost pushed away the person who loves me most in this world because of what other people said, because of my own pathetic ego. Her eyelashes fluttered violently, and a single tear fell onto our joined hands. I pressed her trembling hand against my chest. My voice was raspy. Please forgive me this one time. From now on, no matter what happens, I won't back down. I will never let go of your hand again. Chloe suddenly threw her arms around me. Her voice muffled against my shoulder. I was scared, so scared that I wasn't good enough. I stroked her hair, making a silent vow to love this girl with everything I had. Life returned to its sweet rhythm. But I didn't expect to hear from Bella again. A few weeks later, I was at my desk when my phone vibrated. Bella's name flashed on the screen. Even though I had deleted her contact after 2 years together, I still recognized the number. I hesitated, then answered. Ethan. Her voice was thick with tears. I was so wrong. Derek is a monster. He's breaking up with me. He found someone else. I let out a cold laugh. So, what does that have to do with me? A muffled sob came from the other end. I know I messed up. I thought he could give me the life I wanted, but he was just using me. Her voice suddenly rose. You still love me, don't you? That simpleton doesn't deserve you. Can we please start over? Shut up. Bella went silent. Fury rose in my chest. Isabella, do you think everyone just waits around for you? Chloe is 1,000 times better than you. She isn't obsessed with money and she doesn't treat love like a game. How dare you even compare yourself to her? You're not worthy. I slammed the phone down. The office was dead silent. I could feel my coworkers' eyes on me, but I ignored them. Leaning against the window, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from Chloe. I made lemon bars. I'll bring some over tonight for you to try. Attached was a picture of perfectly cut squares. My fingers flew across the screen, my mood instantly shifting from rage to joy. Perfect. I was just craving something sweet. It started raining on my way home from work. When I opened my apartment door, Chloe was in the entryway taking off her shoes. She looked up and smiled. You're home. The rain started out of nowhere. I didn't even have an umbrella. But the lemon bars are safe. She held up a container like a trophy. My heart ached. Go change before you catch a cold. And next time it's raining, just stay home. It's not safe. I reached for the container and noticed a tear in the hem of her skirt. Underneath, a trickle of blood was visible. What happened to your leg? I lifted the fabric. Her knee was badly scraped and still bleeding. She quickly tried to pull away. I just fell. It's nothing. Thud. Chloe's phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. Just then, a notification popped up on the screen. I instantly recognized the profile picture. Isabella. My face hardened. I tapped the voice message, and Bella's shrill voice filled the entryway. You should get out of his life while you still have some dignity. He'll get tired of how stupid you are eventually. I clenched my fist around the phone, the screen groaning under the pressure. Chloe stared at the floor, tracing the pattern on her skirt with her finger. She said, you two talked for a long time today. She said you'd go back to her eventually. I got flustered and I missed a step on the stairs. I kicked the small bench in the entryway, the loud bang making her flinch. I was on the phone with her for less than a minute. Don't listen to that psycho. I yanked at the collar of my shirt, my chest heaving. Who the hell does she think she is? I cut myself off. Chloe was biting her lower lip, tears clinging to her lashes as she took a half step back like a frightened deer. I'm sorry. I took a deep breath, trying to force down the rage boiling in my throat. I'm not mad at you. Looking into her bloodshot eyes, my voice cracked. I'm mad at myself for not protecting you. I'm mad that she would dare to hurt you with such cheap tricks. She suddenly collapsed into my arms. I know, she mumbled, her warm breath seeping through my shirt. But when I heard her say, you two were made for each other, it just hurt right here. She took my hand and placed it over her heart. It hurt more than scraping my knee. I held her tight. I'm never going back to her. I leaned down and kissed the tears from her eyelashes, tasting salt and sorrow and a deep, unwavering love. All you need to remember is this. You're the most certain choice I will ever make. She looked up, tears still clinging to her lashes. But all your friends are talking. I don't care what anyone else says. I cupped her face in my hands, looking her straight in the eye. As long as you don't let go, I will never let go. A smile broke through her tears and she wrapped her arms around my waist. I'm never letting go. The director at the home always said, when you find someone you truly love, you hold on tight. I knew things with Chloe wouldn't be easy. Even if I could ignore everyone else, my mother was a different story. That night, she called. The second I answered, an ear-splitting yell erupted from the phone. Ethan Miller, what on earth are you thinking? The whole neighborhood is talking, saying you're dating some kind of slow-witted girl. My mother's voice was thick, like she'd been crying. Isabella was such a wonderful girl, so pretty and capable. Why would you throw that away for her? Of course, that witch, after failing with me, had gone running to my mother. Mom, I gripped the phone, my knuckles turning white. Can you please stop listening to gossip? Gossip? She shrieked. I heard something shatter in the background. Chris's son told me everything a while back. And Isabella called me today. She said, the girl is a complete simpleton. Mom, what are you talking about? My temples throbbed. She's not perfect, but she's the most genuine person I've ever met. Can you eat genuine? My mother sneered. How is she going to help you? Can she give you career advice? Can she handle herself at social events? It looks to me like she can barely take care of herself. Her voice broke. Your father died young. I worked my fingers to the bone to raise you. Not so I could watch you tie yourself to a burden. Enough. So you prefer someone like Bella who cheated on me with the first rich guy who came along. In your eyes, are people just divided into useful and useless? She's the one who stays up until midnight to bring me food when I'm working late. She's the one who stays up all night changing cold compresses when I have a fever. Do you not see any of that? There was dead silence on the other end. Finally, my mother's voice returned, cold as ice. Fine, you're a grown man, but as long as you are with her, don't you dare call me your mother. Click. The line went dead. I stood there frozen, the phone slipping from my fingers. Chloe came up behind me at some point. Her warm hand gently covered mine. Ethan, she whispered, her voice trembling. Your mom. She doesn't approve. I turned and pulled her into a fierce hug. Don't listen to her. I buried my face in her hair. Even if the whole world is against us, you're the only one I want. Chloe suddenly stood on her toes and gave me a soft kiss. We'll work on it together, okay? Her eyes were shining. I'll prove to your mom that I can take care of you and I can take care of our home. I kissed her back. As long as she was by my side, I had the courage to face anything. A few days later, I was assigned a new project. I was on the third revision of the proposal, rubbing the ache in my neck when Chloe called. Ethan, she asked tentatively. Has your mom said anything else? Don't worry about it, I said, trying to sound cheerful. But I just got word I have to fly out to Seattle tomorrow for a week-long business trip. Okay, I'll go pack your bag right now. Oh, and don't forget to take your vitamins. I couldn't help but smile at her gentle nagging. The next day when my plane landed, my phone was full of messages from her, updates on a new drink at the shop, a picture of stray cats' new kittens. I scrolled through the mundane, happy little details of her day, and shook my head with a smile. The rest of my life was going to be a long time, and I would spend all of it protecting this sweet girl's smile. The trip went better than expected. I finished a week's worth of work in 5 days. Eager to surprise Chloe, I dragged my suitcase through the front door of my apartment and was hit with the familiar smell of pot roast. Huh? That smells exactly like Mom's cooking. A knot of dread formed in my stomach. She hadn't come all the way here to give Chloe a hard time, had she? To my utter shock, I heard happy chatter coming from the kitchen. Chloe was there wearing an apron and ladling soup into a bowl while my mom stood next to her directing. A little less salt. Ethan likes it mild. Mom, what are you doing here? I was so stunned that I dropped my suitcase with a loud thud, startling them both. You're not supposed to be back for another week, they said in unison. I scratched my head. Things wrapped up early. Can someone please tell me what's going on? Chloe paused. Your mom is teaching me how to make your favorite dishes. I was practicing so I could surprise you when you got back. My confused gaze shifted to my mother. A few days ago, you were pretty against this. My mom's ears turned red. Ask your girlfriend, she mumbled. The day you left for your trip, your mom showed up here, Chloe began. You were already on the plane and she couldn't reach you, so she called me. Let me tell it. My mother interrupted, her voice firm. I came here to convince you two to break up. I called Chloe and told her she was going to ruin your life, that she needed to leave immediately. A look of regret washed over her face. I was so worked up I wasn't watching where I was going, and I tripped and fell. My heart seized. I had missed something important. My mother continued. Everything started spinning, and the next thing I knew, everything went black. Chloe's voice trembled as she recalled the memory. I heard a thud over the phone, and when I called out for her, all I heard was groaning. What happened? Then I asked, my own voice shaking. I freaked out, Chloe said. I called 911 and then I grabbed a ride to get to her. The paramedics said they'd be there in 15 minutes, but I couldn't wait. I carried her on my back and ran to the main road. Her voice broke. The doctor at the hospital said if we'd been 20 minutes later. The kitchen fan hummed softly. My mother turned away, dabbing at her eyes. This girl stayed by my side in the ICU for a day and a night straight. The nurses thought she was my actual daughter. She turned back, tears streaming down her face. I said such horrible things to her and this girl still took care of me. Chloe rushed to hand my mother a tissue, then turned to me, her eyes full of a strength that broke my heart. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to distract you from your work. I can handle things at home. She pulled a small, worn notebook from her apron pocket. It was filled with notes on medication times and dietary restrictions. My voice was hoarse. How are you out of the hospital so soon? Your mother is recovering well. Chloe answered for her. The doctor said once she was past the critical period, she'd be fine. I yanked Chloe into my arms, tears soaking into her hair. This girl, who I was always trying to protect, had shouldered the entire storm in the simplest, most profound way. She might not know how to use complex software or remember long addresses. But in a life or death moment, she was the calmest person in the world, melting the walls around my mother's heart with nothing but pure sincerity. You're not to carry things alone ever again. I whispered into her ear, feeling her shoulders shake with relieved sobs. My mother spoke softly from beside us. Chloe should move in tomorrow. Staring death in the face makes you see things clearly. I'll never stand in your way again. Chloe's head shot up, her eyes filled with disbelief and joy. A massive weight lifted from my own shoulders. Chloe and I got our marriage license soon after and had the wedding 6 months later. As the wedding march filled the hall, I held Chloe's hand tightly in mine. It was clammy with sweat. Her dress was adorned with tiny pearls like she was wearing the Milky Way. Her eyes reflected only me. I heard my mother sniffling and glanced over to see her dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief, a proud, happy smile on her face. "You look beautiful today," I whispered to Chloe. She looked up at me, her eyes shining. "Ethan, I feel like I'm dreaming." Her voice trembled. Back at the group home, I never ever imagined I could have a day like this. The officiant's voice boomed. "Do you, Ethan, take Chloe to be your wife? To have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, to love and to cherish until death do you part." "I do," I said, my eyes locked on hers, my voice steady and sure. In that moment, all the past doubts, arguments, and hardships vanished. I remember the concern in her eyes the first night we met, the care she put into every meal, the way she watched over my mother in the hospital without a second of sleep. This girl with her kindness and sincerity had taught me what love really was. When we exchanged rings, Chloe's hand was shaking so much the ring almost slipped. Her panicked expression made some of the guests chuckle softly. I steadied her hand and slid the ring onto her finger. "Don't be nervous." She stuck her tongue out at me, a small, playful gesture that warmed my heart. After the ceremony, my mother held Chloe's hand and wouldn't let go. "Chloe, from now on, if Ethan ever gives you any trouble, you tell me. I'll take care of him." Chloe nodded, her eyes red. "He won't, Mom. He's so good to me." My mother beamed at the new title. Married life was peaceful and sweet. Chloe quit her job at the bubble tea shop to seriously pursue baking. She still had trouble remembering recipes and would often mess up the measurements or the oven temperature, but she never gave up. She just kept trying. I'd watch her bustling around the kitchen in her cartoon print apron, her hair a delightful mess, and I'd sneak up behind her and wrap her in a hug. "Stop it. You're distracting me," she'd say with a playful swat. "If this cake fails again, I'll make you eat all the failed experiments," she'd threaten, holding up a slightly burnt cupcake. I'd laugh. "Fine by me. As long as my wife made it, I'll eat it." As the days went by, her baking skills improved dramatically. She eventually opened her own small cake shop. Her specialty was a simple cupcake that, according to her customers, tasted like happiness. When the doctor told me Chloe was pregnant with twins, I was so overjoyed I couldn't speak. I canceled all non-essential meetings and spent my evenings making her all kinds of nutritious meals. She would often rest her hands on her belly and whisper to them, "You too be good now. Your daddy loves you so much." On the day she went into labor, I paced outside the delivery room, my palms slick with sweat. When I finally heard the sound of a baby's cry, I rushed in. I saw Chloe, exhausted, but beaming, with 2 tiny wrinkled human beings in her arms. In that moment, I was the happiest man in the world. Today, our twins are 3 years old. Our home is constantly filled with the sound of their laughter. Chloe will spend hours with them doing crafts or baking cookies. They often make a huge mess, but seeing their joyful faces makes all the cleanup worth it. After we saved up some money, we bought a bigger apartment. My mother moved in with us to help with the kids. "Chloe," she often says, "thank you for making this house so full of life." And Chloe will smile and hug her. "No, Mom. Thank you and Ethan for giving me a real family." At night, I hold Chloe in my arms, listening to the soft, even breathing of our children. I press a kiss to her forehead. "Thank you for showing me what happiness is." She snuggles deeper into my embrace. "No, Ethan," she whispers. "Thank you for making sure I was never an orphan again." In that moment, everything was perfect. I knew this was the life I had always wanted. Ordinary yet warm, simple yet overflowing with joy.